Hey, chat, so you know what they say. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. We are going to play some Lee Sin this morning. Lee Sin is a combo focused champion that, just to make my position clear, I'm not a huge fan of this design currently. I think Lee Sin's kind of a toxic card in the game right now. It's very difficult to interact with. I think one of the best things about Runeterra as a game is its combat system, and the fact that Lee Sin has this built-in barrier when you cast 2 spells basically negates an entire axis of interaction with him. It also makes damage-based removal very difficult to interact with him, and then you pair this with the fact that Lee Sin is an Iona card here. So on top of having built-in protection, we also get to play Lee Sin with things like Deny and Nopify, which means that our opponents are going to have an extra hard time interacting with him because you can't interact with him inside of combat because he gives himself a barrier, but then you also can't use things like Culling Strike and Vengeance on him consistently because of the extra protection he has from his Iona region. So, yeah, and this deck is playing Zoe and Targan as our second region / champion. So, our second region / champion. So we could even play Bastion. We have lots of things like gem producers here with Mentor of Stones. So I think we're gonna see how this goes here today. Something I'm actually noticing, and this is incentive. I hope Riot gives me stuff to make foils at some point. This is Zoe's the one card I have purchased in foil, and something that I haven't liked this patch is when I'm doing deck text here and I zoom in on a card, if I don't have the prismatic purchased, it puts this thing up over the deck list. So like, I don't want to zoom in on cards because it hides the deck list now. But when they're prismatic, it's like it was before. It still shows the deck list over here. So obviously, that's an incentive for me to prismatic everything. Let's play some games, huh? He should be a 3/4. Now I don't think being a 3/4 does anything. And that's why I wasn't a huge fan of the change of just making him cheaper in terms of, or making him more expensive in terms of mana cost, because it like makes him a little bit slower, but it doesn't actually address any of the problems that he actually has in terms of why he's toxic in gameplay patterns. It doesn't make him more interactable. Garen Aurelian Soul. A full ball for Zoe, I think. Nailed it. Got Horizon Zero Dawn Front to Break, and the game's fantastic. 15 hours into it, and half of that time's been spent getting lost in the world doing side quests. Yes! Yeah, Witcher 3 is growing on me more and more that I play it, but Horizon Zero Dawn definitely holds the title for my favorite game I've ever played currently. So, I played the goat before attacking here because if they play this out, I still get to attack, and if they don't have a 2-drop here, I get to attack it and get a gem, so it's pretty much all upside to play this out first. Zoe generating burst spells that we can play with Lee Sin is good quality synergy for us. Zoe's Sleepy Trouble Bubble will actually be pretty good moving forward. So now they can choose whether or not they want to kill this or kill this here. I want to trade for this. I'm going to go ahead and Star Chart plus Pale here. Crescent Strike is very useful against the Grand Plaza. It does, Axiom. It is. Calling it an emblem is apt. It basically works like an emblem in Magic the Gathering. This is actually super awkward, because with that play, I'm actually burning the card I'm drawing next turn. I have 4 gems and can't play any of them. At least it was just a Zenith Blade. Vlad Zoe. I don't know that Vlad Zoe is something I can do anything useful with.
For justice, for Demacia.
For Demacia. Vlad kills Zoe on attack. Well, technically, with the Vlad update, you could choose the order your things happen in. I think I want to gem the goat to play around Pale Cascade here. This is the downside to doing that, is I can't deny a and at this point it feels like I'm probably just dead. Opponent's on 20, and I've just got a whole... Like, my hand is full, but half of them are gems that don't do anything. If we draw Lee Sin, you think we're ahead? Let's find out. Michael, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Good morning. I'm just always supposed to keep Lee Sin in the opener? I'm just supposed to assume that that's always good?
A little time, I'll have a break. Yeah. Time to get rowdy.
Hey, it's like, do I play something here? I feel like I'm obligated to play something here. Because if I don't play something, I'm going to burn a card out of my hand. No, it's good, Lampton. We need to fit a few non-Zoe decks in there. If we draw gems, we can use them on him, and it's GG right away. I mean, that's actually just not true. Opponent ordered these wrong. If they put this first, I gain 1 less life. Important sequencing note there. mean, I guess I play these out now.
Mystical levitation requires concentration.
Well, none of those are what I wanted for Christmas. Think I take Star Shaping? Maybe? Well, whenever I'm supposed to play 2 gems here just to get this discounted next turn, it almost feels like a reasonable play. Oh, I only need to play 1? Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Getting my hand empty for when this dies doesn't seem terrible.
Time to get rowdy.
Well, now they don't really want to pass because we got to use our mana for the turn, so we'll see what they do here. This is elusive, so I could technically sneak past everything they have going on at the moment. Your giant invoke creatures look the same. Nah, not at all. I think the fact that a lot of them have the spell shield on them so they can survive to do something makes them feel a little samey, but the artwork's actually pretty different.
Forge ahead!
Scorching light!
Here we go.
Might be wrong to take that hit. Might be right to block with these since I have gems. Yeah, heal it for 1. You got it. I'm not sure we're gonna survive to get 2 elusive attacks. is a question, which could have been, which is why it was probably right to block, especially if I was going to draw. Yeah, if we draw a Lee Sin here. So I burned one of these earlier. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 16. I think this is too little too late. I already spent a bunch of mana this turn.
Master yourself, master your enemy.
I needed this. I shouldn't have started on the deep meditation. I should have spell thieved first. What should have happened there?
I must train more.
I don't know. That felt real awful. I guess we just won't mulligan Lee Sin for the rest of the day. Just like always keep him because he's that important. Deck doesn't do a whole lot when it doesn't draw the card it's named after. I'm not even actually convinced this archetype is that good. It just kind of sucks to play against. This is a Zoe on 2 hand, right? So we can draw protection for her.
Trick shot.
I bear a message from. Oh, hey, what's that?
Ding, 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 ding. What does bump a deck means? It means you take a deck that is currently in my stream queue waiting to be played, and you get it played a little bit sooner. Move it up the queue by a number of points.
I'll buy us some time.
Is it crazy to Zenith Blade my Zoe here? Or can that be a legal play? Yeah, I've never played this deck before, Mock, and I mulliganed to Lee Sin in my opener. And if I would have kept the Lee Sin, I think I end up winning that. It just took us way too long to find him. Is it free to suggest a deck, or do I need points? Decks can only be added newly to the queue with money. So you can use points to bump decks that are in the queue, but not add new ones. Couple directions that could go here. We could Zenith Blade. We could Zenith Blade this and get in for a good chunk of damage. I don't hate that. You want Star Chart, hold up Pale to generate card advantage? Sure. And then I'm just not attacking with the goat. I don't really want to trade my goat for a 2/2. Nah, I don't think the hushes and combats really mattered. It was more about my deck drawing Lee Sin or not. I'm not used to playing decks like this in Runeterra. That this deck feels like a Magic deck even when I'm playing it. We're just like, there's only one thing that really matters. I just need to be super linear and focus on exactly that thing.
So much tinier than my space doggy.
There is hope.
This is probably a level Zoe game, huh? If I had to venture a guess. I'll pass for now and see what they do.
Sent them running.
I'm gonna do this and Pale Cascade here. And then when they go to kill her with Go Hard, we'll Guiding Touch. Yeah, they really need to add a visual indicator. Actually, I'm just gonna gem her. Because I don't want to pass, then have them pass back and burn my card for the turn. That is, having an indicator of how many cards are in your hand currently would be great on her. Would be great for the game. Definitely need that. Honestly, it kind of feels like this is a turn where I want Super Cool Star Chart to be discounted. Yeah, I means we're not gonna die.
Keep up, keep up.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
And then I haven't played a Spell Thief yet, right? So this levels her. And then my next Zoe is leveled. Time to make colors! Honestly, it's probably just their Go Hard, right? Crumble's just really expensive, and I'm not going to have the mana to play it. Hitting this means my Dragon Link can trade with it next turn.
You pay. I talk to spirits. Leave a fire off.
I don't even know what I want to do here, because, like, they almost assuredly have a, They almost assuredly have a what's it called in hand. You want to sword this? Yeah, I guess that's fine. Oh! The dragons give everything lifesteal. It gets lifesteal because Zoe leveled up, and this is just there for the rest of the game.
We each hold a world within.
Let's do this.
Yeah, that's true. So I can Equinox this, and then play Zoe, and then attack with a bunch of elusives next turn.
I bear a message from. Oh hey, what's that?
Oh, hey, what's that?
What is gained when you return malevolence?
We live here. Clear off.
Clear off. I think I'm gonna deep meditation here and see what we get. I might also Pale Cascade. I just want to gain as much life as possible here. Sparklefly is great post Zoe Emblem.
You're slow.
Didn't know what was sent for you.
Don't know much, do ya?
It's really unfortunate that... we haven't drawn a Notify.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Never lost a fair game. Or played one. I'm a people person.
Yeah, I think Hushing the King is right.
Bilgewater is mine and mine alone. Dead men tell my tale. Explosives!
Why was I thinking they'd play more Go Hards than this? Was it because I'd played copies of Go Hard? I think so. I think that was what. Alright, so we spell Thief. When you're a better Go Hard deck than your opponent's Go Hard deck.
I see every move.
Foisted by your own Go Hard.
That was super fun, and I gotta say,
Yeah, we didn't draw Notify or deny that game, or release in. Which, honestly, Precipic, games like those are really why I hope they make Lee Sin a more fair card. Because, like, I think decks like this are kind of neat and sweet. I just think Lee Sin's very toxic with his current design. Yeah, like, that was a super interesting, fair, and interactive game of Runeterra. I really wish they'd just make Lee Sin, they'd just make Dragon's Rage remove your thing from combat, so Lee Sin would just be a sweet card instead of a very silly one. Instead of a combo kill you card. Do I just keep all of these cards? Zenith Blade's probably not good. I'm definitely keeping these other 3 though, right? Spell Thief seems fine. 3 mana Mystic Shot's a fine card to play in this matchup.
No one's the wiser.
Am I trading Zoe here? I don't think so.
Understand, silly?
This'll shake him.
It could be right to trade aggressively here. It could also be right to hold on to this till I have Nopify up.
Ship time!
Yeah, I agree, Journey.
Once I start papers, now faces.
And take a break? That's okay.
Yeah, we'll migrate that day.
Okay, you can come back and play some more later if you want. Love you, bud.
I like you, Daddy.
Where's Lisa? I have no idea, Lipton.
Can you improve perfection?
I think Zoe Karma was something some folks were working on. Zoe's Danger Noodle reference is very endearing.
Remember the objectives. For the glory of Noxus.
Zoe, I have a Zoe Zed deck built up as well. Zoe Zed could be something that's similar but still interesting.
Safety disengaged.
Of course I'm ready.
We've got Nopifies and Denies. These are kind of ways to gain life, especially Nopify is a super efficient way to interact with their board, which is good.
Put this here. Better run.
Can you improve perfection?
I think I'm gonna try and Spell Thief into a Mystic Shot. And murder this while they don't have the deal 3 up.
Ship time!
I think I want to make this cheaper at this point. Have a lot of cards in my hand. You are the weakest link. Denied. I feel like half the time I've spent playing this deck is counting the number of cards in my hand. Just like trying to figure out where we're at.
Master yourself.
Universe demands change. I'm doing
I'm doing it anyway. I have a Notify and a Guiding Touch here, so... Definitely super in to just get a Notify here.
The dragon spirit awakens.
So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Our enemies cannot hide.
Hiya!
That was super fun, and I gotta say,
So Zoe isn't technically the first emblem effect. War Mother's Call is an emblem style effect that's existed in Runeterra before, where it just like does something out of the way too. War Mother's Call predates Out of the Way. It would be nice to have some kind of indicator for permanent style effects like that. All right, mulliganing for Zoe and Lee Sin. That was kind of magic. Like, I actually disagree. That last game we played had really good back and forth. My opponent did some stuff, I did some stuff. Our stuff interacted with their stuff. I think our deck is just good against the burn deck, so we have a lot of cheap interaction in life gain. I don't think Lee Sin being a combo tool is inherently bad. I just think if they want him to be a combo tool, he needs to be more interactive.
Looking into the future, I see purple. Floaty crystals.
This is the part where they chew up and spit out our board, right?
Enter, traveler.
I guess I have the concussive palm here. So we get to palm, like they make a big play next turn and we get to palm it. Play a Garen for me.
Fight for those who cannot.
Go, there's Papa Garen. I'm gonna kill their Garen with single combat. They're getting better about reading the card, explaining the card. Like for example, they updated the wording on Vaults of Helia to reflect how it works in practice, which is a good change. Yeah, I think we're on the Hush Your Challenger play here.
The spirit gives to those who listen.
Hey, Dorian, thank you for the 22 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back.
We each hold a world within.
Go ahead and touch myself to not burn mana and trigger these for next turn. Alright, there's at least in. We're at 6 out of 8 spells.
Breathe in, breathe out.
We're supposed to just try and kill them here, right?
Force is meaningless without skill.
A pleasure to see you, Master.
They could hush him in before we get to attack here. Okay, so now we're supposed to just level him, right? Yeah, you can spell thief a spell you've already stolen. I think I'm supposed to, so I think I need to burst attack this turn, right? So they can't hush it away.
Patience is underrated.
I mean, is it annoying? I get to take single combat here, and then I could do this to level him.
It's all in the mind. I fight with the dragon's fury.
Guiding touch lets us hold deny. No, I don't have enough mana for that.
Oh, floaty crystals. Prepare yourself.
Almost got roped there. Oh fuck! I forgot to. Well, the reason why I didn't give extra attack to this is because my rope was about to time out while I was taking my turn. So this should have 2 more attack. The reason why it doesn't is because I was roping.
Hold fast.
Is it too greedy to single combat this in response? Probably.
We must not relent.
Yeah, I guess we just passed with the Nigh up, right?
Stay resolute.
What is gained when we return malevolence?
We're just trying to survive at this point.
Sun and my faith are one.
So we do this now so that way we could do this to give him a barrier. Wants to fight, Grizzled Ranger? Well, there's now no shortage of cards for Lee Sin to get Challenger and Barrier with next turn.
Power! We do what is right.
We do what is right. The problem here is I have to block, and they could be waiting to hush till after I block.
The enemy quivers with fear.
Quibbles with fear. If they do hush this, I have a couple of draws off of Guiding Touch that let this live. And that's the play, right? It could honestly have been right to gem this up so I could single combat into here in the event they had a hush. Concussive Palms also does it. What if I single combat into here to deny them the life gain so we can kill them with this? Think I like that? Deny them the gain 6 here. And your Relentless Pursuit costs 3 and their deck doesn't play that card. Nah, I think a better solution than a comprehensive rules thing is just having the cards do what they say. I think improving the wording on the cards they already have is a much better solution than creating some kind of archaic thing like that. This isn't a boomer card game. We don't need boomer card game solutions. Oh, you know what? I should double gem here because they could have another Guiding Touch. We're gonna get Star Shaping and it doesn't matter, but yeah, I should have double gemmed here. Or triple gemmed, technically. So, couldn't play around Star Shaping, could play around Guiding Touch, and didn't. Couldn't beat Hush.
Are they still here?
Yeah, a couple. I think there's a good possibility I need to add some Hush to the Lux Zoe deck that we played the other day because of the popularity of Fiora and Lee Sin. Both those decks are things people have been playing. I think that was 3 Hushes, at least 2. Is Hush balanced? Yes. Hush be more balanced at 3 mana. It's fine at 2, chat. Decks like what the deck that we are playing is far more toxic to Runeterra as a game than Hush could ever dream of being. Hush exists because of decks like this. I don't know, Windowhead. If I hadn't answered that, I would have done it already. Actually, if you want a lukewarm take, I actually think they made Hush better when they made it 2 mana instead of making it 3 and copy itself. I think the lowest power level Hush of the iterations that we had was it costs 3, makes a copy, but the copy costs 4, that copy makes a copy that costs 5. Like, paying 7 mana to silence 2 things was fine. Especially with Moonlight Affliction being added to the game. Like, the fact that middle design of Hush wasn't okay compared to Moonlight Affliction is funny. Was Moonlight Affliction. It's a 5 mana double Hush. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the 3 mana, make another 3 mana one similar to Guillotine wasn't okay, but I think the increasing cost variation was fine. For 2. Their username is lukewarm heat. It's funny.
Reality is just your mind crumbling under what it doesn't understand, silly!
What it doesn't understand, silly. I should have opened on that instead of opening on Zoe. I want to play 2 spells this turn so I get a Dragon Link next turn. It's actually a really big sequencing mistake on my opponent's part. So I get to Pale Cascade here, which lets me... I guess it doesn't matter. Is Jimming first play? No, I don't need 2 blockers. Why do I need 2 blockers? Can you explain? Yeah, definitely Astox. A card being playable for just spell mana versus not is a big difference. Well, that's a little sad, but still fine.
Breathe in, breathe out.
And get a little Dragon Link here. Just play the goat. And then we'll Gem plus Pale Cascade this and get a bunch of life here. That is true. This is now Pale Cascade in a pinch. Gain 6 back here. Yeah, surviving next turn is the goal, and getting another Dragon Link, that should hopefully be pretty possible. Getting a super cool star chart here as well. Would love to roll a Crescent Strike off of this. That's a good observation, D-Rock. 6 to 7 mana is a big jump because a 6 mana spell you could technically play on turn 3 by banking mana on your first 2 turns. So 3 to 4 is a big jump, and 6 to 7 is a big jump for a similar reason.
Are they still here?
What if they make spell mana rampable in the future? What does that mean? Can you give me an example?
There's nothing to fear. What is gained when we return malevolence?
I think landmarks would be more interactive if they had a health stat. I mean, like, so you're asking the wrong question. So you know the answer to the question you're asking. Yes, landmarks would be objectively more interactable if you could challenge them inside of combat. But what you're actually asking me is, do I think that it would be good for the game if you could interact with them via combat? And no, I don't really think that's necessary.
Force is meaningless without skill.
Yeah, I think we just slam Lee here.
Master.
Agree. It's a fearsome blocker. We can give him a barrier here.
Hush now.
I will not hold back.
Hey, look, their attack gains me a life. Thanks, opponent. Appreciate you.
You dare!
I'm not sure that's how the aggro deck wants to work, chat. Can anybody let me know? Does the aggro deck want to gain me life when it attacks me?
Breathe out.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Didn't draw overwhelm. Never lucky.
The dragon spirit awakens. Prepare yourself.
How's it going?
We have deny for the harrowing here as well. So this one should be a nice and rolled up. This deck's really sweet, Precipic. I just wish this card wasn't such a toxic stain.
What is gained when we return malevolence?
I love this deck, but I feel like the bad guy. Yep, that's because you are. You are definitely we're the bad man.
How do you like that, Sparkles?
We are 100% the bad man. Thanks everybody for dropping by this morning, by the way. Great to see over 400 people in here already. Barely been live for an hour. Everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday wherever you're at in the world. I think we full mull for Zoe and the Dragonling, right? Maybe I'm supposed to keep Lee Sin. I don't know, he seems real slow here. We have to mull Lee, okay, good. My intuition was correct. Our hand's real bad, though. Sparkle Fly would have also been a good one to open on. Why is Zoe over Zed in this deck? Why is Zed over Zoe? Zoe's a cheap threat that draws removal. She also provides you spells to work with Lee Sin.
Anything else?
Instead of me telling you you're wrong, tell me why you're right. Why is your idea good? Sell me on it.
The spirit gives to those who listen.
To those who listen. Hey, listen. I was gonna say, how happy am I if I get excited on this goat? I think I'm happy with that, trading the blade and the goat for a get excited. And if they don't have get excited, it leaves us in a very good spot. So, like, I think I'm okay with, like, the floor of what this play is. I think that's fine. It could also have been right to just, like, pass there and, like, have Notify.
Your lesson begins.
I think it's important to block here. Keeping the crowd favorite deck's board as small as possible has value. Well, that's the thing, Assassin. Zoe's both. Zoe's a card that can be aggressive, but she's also a card that generates value. She does a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. And now we're gonna Zenith Blade plus Spell Thief here, so that way we can get a Dragonling for next turn. Hey, Kevin. Thanks for keeping me around. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed the YouTube stuff. Good morning.
What is gained when you return malevolence?
Honestly, I think I'm... Is it crazy to mentor this? Probably. I probably would rather just have a big blocker.
Oh, floaty crystals.
Floated crystals. Generating a bunch of gems here when this dies is good with Get Excited in hand.
I'll give you to the count of strikes up.
Yup.
You're starting to bore me.
Oh, they discarded survival skills. I was like, well, this block's really good for us. They discarded survival skills. I think it's so weird when people try and credit specific streamers with random tier 1 decks like this. Like, this is the tier 1 deck from last season with the one card from this set that's good in it added to it. So, like, I get that Nick played it on the ladder, but, like, I think deck ownership in general is just such a stupid thing in card games. People spend way too much effort trying to lay claim to things. No, yeah, I don't think this game's over at all. I have a Notify for that. We're fine.
I bear a message from... Oh, hey, what's that?
Oh, hey, what's that? I made Kiki Court. I didn't. And that's even such a good example, right? Like, even what I did there wasn't really innovative, right? I put the 2-card combo together, and then I put it in a deck that had a way to tutor it up. Alright, I'm gonna touch myself on stream for a little bit here. I'm gonna play this Sparklefly that we just drew. I think I'd rather play Goat than the second gem here. I definitely made a bad deck look good for a long time. I will take credit for doing that, but to say, like, I did something super fancy and innovative that was really outside the box is nonsense. Ooh. Did I? Well, shit. Lee could be lethal next turn. You're not wrong. So, I think we gem this to give ourselves the most life here.
As the dragon wills.
I think it's wrong to star chart here, because if I star chart and miss on the stun, I don't get to play Lee Sin out. And I think it's important that I get Lee Sin on board this turn.
Time for the moneymakers.
Well, it still counts as damage if they can't lose HP. I believe so. Oh, it doesn't. Wow, okay. That's good to know. That's gotta be lethal, right? This is 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this is lethal. This is plus 4. Alright, get combo killed. Yeah! 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 Have the Nopify rolled up here too? I'm the bad man. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Ionia endures.
Ionia indulge. Good combo. Sure, but the ladder has a lot of everything, Get Wrecked, Nib. Like, you know, I've been playing 5 to 7 hours of Runeterra a day for the last week, and that's like the first time I've played against discard aggro in the last 3 or 4 days. Look how sparkly! I think it's toxic and bad for the game, Kazu.
I've whipped up something special.
So, I think I'd rather... I could play Mentor, but then this could die to a Go Hard, so I think I open on just killing this. I kind of think saving this with Pale Cascade is right here. Feels bad, man. Yeah, I feel like they could give Lee like kind of the Ezreal treatment where like they make him easier to level up but make him not combo focused. Yeah, or you could make him cheaper, like you put him back to 4 but don't let him combo kill people. Hey, so probably dead here. Opponent on the nut draw. This is a decent pickup, he says before being told to pack his bags.
For silver I thought, for
Dark
gold
gold,
I
I
listen.
listen.
Floating crystal. There is assistant.
Where do you stand on cold shots?
Beware the dragon spirit.
The dragon spirit.
Be nothing left when I'm done.
Heal this so that way. Okay, so definitively the Riot person I talked to that said Spell Thief can get pack your bags was just wrong then, right? They were incorrect with that, with what they told me. Because this very clearly, it's not, this we would have a pack your bags here. And that feels wrong too. That's either a bug or they need to update the wording on Spell Thief. There's no reason why it shouldn't be able to get this card. Alright, to the people that are telling me you can't get cards that are on the stack, I'm just timing you out because you're wrong. That's definitely, you can definitely get things that are on the stack. The wording on Spell Thief, for those of you that are not aware, says, pick one of 3 enemy spells played this game. Played is different from cast. Which, in the people at home's defense, that is a somewhat confusing distinction, I know, but played versus cast is different. Cast means the card resolves. Played means it was put on the stack. I agree, Quaddle. I think that's a bad takeaway. My body is ready for vengeance.
As the dragon will. My lands need me. Prepare yourself.
Perhaps that kind of distinction should be written down somewhere. I don't understand what you mean. Like, you want, maybe you want more keywords in hand on the cards? Like, when you mouse over this, you want played to be able to something you can mouse over? I think a comprehensive rulebook is stupid. I think making players go to some third-party archaic document like we're some kind of boomer card game is nonsense. Leaves, thanks for the 14 months. Welcome back. Halman, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. I think if you wanted to put more distinctions on the cards that you could mouse over, that would be fine and would be a net positive. But I think, like, telling people, hey, you need to go look up how this works in some other document is silly. I mean, to be fair, if Spell Thief worked as written and we would have been able to tell them to pack their bags, we'd be ahead this game, right? I actually don't think that's true at all, Empton. I think from a power level perspective, the opponent's archetype is fine. I think something players have a hard time differentiating is when something is too good based on power level and when something feels bad to play against. And I definitely think you could make the argument that my opponent's archetype is toxic and feels bad to play against. Like, that's fine. I'm down for that summary.
Our enemies cannot hide. Strike firm.
It takes so many actions. I think that's super accurate. Yeah, the current win rates right now aren't really great metrics though. Press a pick. And this is why it's important to take data with a grain of salt. Like the win rate of the Go Hard deck last season is a better metric than this current patch, because this current patch has a bunch of people trying new things at every level. So like the established, one of the best, all of the good decks from last season currently have a higher win rate. Because they're not random brews people are trying to slam into things. And this is why you generally need to counter the first pack your bags, not the later ones. Because every pack your bags is still a pack your bags from here on out.
There's nothing to fear.
Glass Guy Bob, good morning and welcome to the channel. Thanks for the follow. So, I actually disagree with you, Toddy, and I actually think you're playing the wrong game if you don't want feelings adjusting the card games. Here's a blisteringly hot take. games should be played for fun, and cards that generate toxic play patterns and generally leave one player feeling very dissatisfied are bad for the game and a net negative overall. I actually think one of the things that Runeterra has managed to do amazingly well for a 1v1 game is that they've done a better job than any other game that I've played of making the loser feel okay about losing a significant majority of the time. Obviously, some people are always going to hate losing regardless, but as someone who doesn't play games for purely competitive reasons and largely plays games just for fun, Runeterra allows me personally to have fun when losing more often than any other game out there. And as someone who's played a lot of Magic, a big part of Magic's issues over the last 2 years or 3 years is that they explicitly only make bans based on data and they don't allow feelings to get involved too often. I think the best example of it's good to let feelings dictate a change in a card game is that if there's a deck in your game that you feel bad even when you win against it, like it wasn't a satisfying game even though you won, that should be the #1 sign that that's not okay and should look to be adjusted.
The spirit gives to those who listen.
Do you think the Celestial discover keywords and a feeling of player discontent? No. In fact, I think comparing the discover mechanic to the comparing invoke to the Hearthstone discover mechanic shows a fundamental misunderstanding of how those two things are very different. The discover mechanic in Hearthstone is bad because it's incredibly random and doesn't allow for player agency, whereas the invoke mechanic, pulling from a very specific card pool, allows your players to be able to play around things in a meaningful and interesting manner that allows you to leverage play skill to play better and get edges on your opponent. So those two mechanics, I get that it's super reductionist to just be like, these things both pull cards from a pool, so they're the same, but that's super reductionist and lazy. The Caffeinated, thank you for the entire year of support. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Yeah, I think we're just taking Mystic Shot to murder their Species Catcher here. Yeah, and that detail too, while there are some invoke cards that invoke the entire range, most invoke cards are invoking a specific range of costs, which makes them even more specific in terms of what you know to play around. Yeah, there's other consistencies like that. Like, all of the spells you can invoke are all slow speed. That's also a very important distinction where there's this consistency where even if you don't know exactly what they're getting, you can expect certain play patterns and be prepared and play around them.
What is gained when we return malevolence?
Probably not get wrecked, honestly. And something that we talk about a lot is like the Runeterra community in general makes me really empathetic to game developers in general, because like the amount that people complain about the current Runeterra format, or like Runeterra formats in general, kind of like really hammers home how much card game players will complain about anything. As someone who's heard the complaints of this format isn't diverse enough for a long time in every other card game, rightfully so, to come into Runeterra and then hear complaints that it's still, you know, And in general, I think that's also a virtue of you shouldn't just lay out blanket complaints. Like, I think, for example, talking about specifics with things like lease-in or cards that generate play patterns that you think, you know, leave players feeling very unsatisfied, those types of discussions are reasonable and can be meaningful, but those types of discussions are very different from big, broad blanket statements, this is true about all of Runeterra's format, etc. I think we're just double cascading here, huh? Just like hoping not to get hushed. So it's interesting, Get Wrecked Nib. So, and this is why, again, people in general tend to be very bad at articulating. No, I don't do bumps midstream, Maka Art. I only adjust my current midstream schedule for very large donations. People are very bad at articulating what they actually think or what they actually feel. They're bad at putting into words what their feelings actually are. And I think there's a lot of people that complain about power creep in other card games when actually they actually really like that. Like in Runeterra, we see kind of the opposite, where I see people complain about the format not changing enough with each individual card release, and in my opinion, the Runeterra format staying largely the same card release over card release, that's a feature, that's not a bug. As someone who loved playing, you know, Magic's non-rotating formats like Modern and Legacy for a long time, there was a big appeal to those formats as a player because I could pick up a deck, find a deck that I loved, and play it forever and know the ins and outs with it, know all of its different matchups, and know that 3 card releases from now, that deck that I identify with and love playing is still going to be there and be competitive and be okay for me to play. And as a player, there's definitely subsets of players that resonates with. I think there's also people that they like the idea of what power creep is, and they like the format being kicked on its head every single set release, and there's nothing wrong with that. What punishes this block? No, they got Equinox off of this, right?
It's the right time to strike.
They could have gotten Moon Thing off of this. Thermo Beam. Thermo Beam's a good one.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, eventually Runeterra having a rotating format to satisfy people that want constant change every set release could be a good solution. But one of Runeterra's most endearing and fantastic features, in my opinion, is the fact that decks that I first played 6 months ago are still competitive today, many set releases later. Like that's phenomenal. They had the Moon Silver chat.
Analyzing a problem.
I think I just Mystic Shot this to pop the spell shield, right? And then we can hush this next turn.
Battle is perfection.
And then we don't die.
A new era of
That's a bad beat. Yeah, I fully expect there to be both a rotating and non-rotating format, Claire.
another brilliant design.
Hopefully this can find us Palm or Hush. Or Spell Thief for one of their hushes. This has a lot of good draws.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Genius in action.
Iron Metal, thank you for the 13 months. Really appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around.
Genius.
What you doing over there?
Oh, I probably should have played Sparkle Fly out to block this, huh?
Genius in action.
Why not Palm into Hush instead? Why would I want this to be able to attack, chat?
What's in here? Hey, you brought back my favorite star.
We want a Hush in combat to block with Lee? Okay, that's fair. Hush would have taken for one turn. It would have taken away its stats for one turn. No, it doesn't really matter, right? We're gonna kill this with Lee Sin here in a second.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Well, we have Hearthstone lethal. I think we go for Hearthstone lethal, right? Hiya! And this is, honestly, this is a good example of why this deck just, like, is kind of uninteresting. Is like, I'm just playing Go Fish, right? This is Runeterra's Go Fish deck. You're like, well, do you have your second Hush? Otherwise, you're dead. Like, there wasn't really any counterplay there. Like, we won the game, but
Ionia endures.
the old 20-0. To set a low bar, this is the best Iona deck I've played in a while. Deny and Nopify are both very reasonable cards right now. Deep Meditation, drawing extra cards was good. I feel like the one standout thing to me from this set was the fact that, like, the Zoe, Mountain Goat, Sparklefly Mentor package, like those 4 units, those are all cards that allowed us to win games even when we weren't listening people. Although obviously, like, based on that last game, you can still just Lee Sin, kill people. I think this deck seems very reasonable. If you enjoy the play patterns of Lee Sin, it seems like a very decent one to pick up and give a try. I'm not a huge fan of the play patterns of Lee Sin in general, but that feels powerful and reasonable for sure. Ivo, thank you for the 19 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, it was on occasion we were just, and I own a mid-range deck. Is very, very realistic. If you like toxic decks, do I have the deck for you? Yeah, exactly. Good descriptor. Good post-deck summary. If you like poison, boy, do I have just the poison for you. All right. Let's shift gears. Try something a little different. Let's make sure this is up on Mobilytics, and we'll dive into talking about it here.